All right, guys, it's Friday. It's time for my thoughts on the week. And as we all know, things are getting difficult out there. Things are changing a lot. When you look at our national layout, when you look at where things are at in certain areas, I think what everybody can agree on is that there's a lot of intolerance going on. There's a lot of small-mindedness. There's a lot of single thought processness, if that's even a word, going on, where my opinion is my opinion, and if you don't agree, you're an idiot. And if you don't think that's prevalent, scroll through Facebook for a little bit and see everybody smashing on everybody because they're a Trump tard, or they're a libertard, or they're a tard of some sort, and it's enough, guys. It's really enough. It's enough to make you upset with the human race, and just asking the question of why in the world are we acting like this? We've got a system of checks and balances in place that we're supposed to be able to sit down and have a conversation and have an intelligent discussion instead of hammer away on each other from our keyboards and call each other stupid. I just really don't understand. And I'm not here to say that there aren't issues, and I'm not here to say that people aren't right about what they're thinking. What I'm here to say is that you guys, we're better than this. We have communication skills that we learned a long time ago that we can get our point across, and maybe some empathic listening would go a long way to find out what the real issue is. Any of you that have been in a relationship for any period of time know that sometimes the issue that's causing the flare-up isn't the issue that is the problem. It's the relief valve at the time that gets everything to spew that maybe has been building for a while. But here's what I'm going to tell you guys. This has gone far enough. And when everybody sits there and says, "Hey, Black Lives Matter," and you need to be this way, or you need to be that way, or you're contributing to the problem, I don't think that's entirely true. I think contributing to conversation is where you need to be. You need to be willing to sit down and listen, and so does the other person. I think what happens to a lot of us is we sit down and we try and listen with someone who isn't really willing to listen, and we get mixed signals from that. Instead of sitting there and saying, "Hey, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to practice some empathic listening where I want to repeat back to you what I think you heard me say, or what I think I heard you say," and really get into the root of listening, not just listening to respond, not just putting something out there because that's the dumbest thing you've seen on the internet, because scroll past, man. Be a bigger person and don't call people names. It doesn't help anything, right? It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter how you vote. It matters that you voted, and I can guarantee you 3/4 of the people on the internet did not vote. All I have to do is look at the numbers. So until you voted, please keep your opinion to yourself, because you didn't bother to take it to the ballot box. Is a great argument. But how do you have that with someone in an intelligent format without offending them, without coming at them and telling them that they're stupid? I mean, guys, we've got to get a control of our conversation to start with. If you want to see how you can make a difference, start conversations that start dialogues. Dialogue will help you understand what the other person has to say. Understanding what the other person has to say is a big step to understanding how that person functions and what makes them tick. Why is someone so vested into this particular thing? What is this thing? What is this conversation all about, and what does it really mean to them? When you really get into where people are at and what's going on in their lives, you can begin to see why people do certain things, why people react certain ways to certain things being said or certain things going on. But right now, we can all agree that things are not in control. Things are not being handled the way that they should be. They're not being handled the way this country was set up to handle disagreements. We, to the fundamental ground level, we as human beings that live in America have a problem with how we are voicing our opinion. We're voicing our opinion in a very very negative way, a very derogatory way, and we're voicing our opinion only to never hear the other side, only to never see what the other person wants to see or wants us to see with their opinion. You know, I think that there's a lot of ground that can be covered with respectful dialogue, with conscious thought, with people sitting down and expressing opinions that matter to them in a format and in a way that allows people to engage them. But when you're slamming on this or slamming on that, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you pick. It doesn't matter which side of the issue you pick. You slam on it, you're going to offend 45% of the people in this nation. You're going to go against what they think. And so maybe instead of slamming on it, maybe ask the question, can someone honestly explain to me why this is a good idea? And then sit back and listen to what they have to say. Be a part of a discussion that will promote things, that will bring more things out, that will take our dialogue further, instead of just being somebody that says, man, that has got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because the reality is everybody's got something you can agree with. Everybody's got a point that makes sense to me. Every single person does. I can find it. I might have to dig for a long time, but I can find it if I want to. The problem is nobody wants to right now. Everybody wants to only hear their side. All you have to do is look at the media, right? All you see is shouting and screaming and all kinds of stuff. That's not what 90% of the United States represents. Yet how come that's not in control? How come we're not communicating that? Hey, that's your right. As long as we don't break any laws here, that's your right. Once you break the law, that's where I feel we draw the line. Once we do that, we've circumvented the discourse of constructive dialogue. We've gone around the ability to make things happen between us. I get it. There are points of view out there that put things at opposite of each other, you know, but they don't have to be, right? You can agree that Black lives matter. You can agree that all lives matter, and you can agree that cops' lives matter, and you can agree with all those things, but you can also agree that there are really, really relevant things to the arguments that are inside of each one of those statements. And you can also agree that there are a lot of things inside of each one of those statements and each one of those groups that probably needs to change. But you're not going to get your point across if you're yelling about, how dare you discount my thought process by saying this? How dare you make mine not valuable by doing that? How dare you take away my voice? You know, I hate to admit it, but I know that when people do that to me, it infuriates me. And I get a very, very, I don't know, second grade mentality of I'll show you, right? So I come over the top of that. I go, oh yeah, I'll make sure you pay attention to me. And I go on to make a complete clown of myself, trying to show the other person how illegitimate their idea is, instead of just embracing their idea as their own, their thought process as their own. And honestly, if I'm willing to sit down and dissect it, instead of rhetoric coming out of my mouth, going against the rhetoric coming out of their mouth, maybe we can have a conversation, and maybe one or both of us can go, you know what, now that I think about it, I don't quite 100% agree with that particular thing. I don't completely agree with the fact that those lives don't matter. Maybe I don't completely agree with every point on here, but I can see where there's room for improvement. I can see where there's room for dialogue. You know, the art of negotiation, or the art of compromise, really has been completely lost in this nation. It is completely gone, right? So if you're not into driving a Prius and saving the planet, then you must be one of those idiots that drives a big diesel truck that just spews toxins everywhere. That's not the case. That doesn't have to be the case. You know, you might be one of those guys that drives a big Ford truck that spews diesel fumes everywhere, because that's how you move your excavating equipment around. And then after that, you go home and you recycle. You know, I mean, but to lump you into that lumberjack, tree killing, hateful son of a gun that's just out to deforest everything. That's not fair either. So guys, in order to have a dialogue, and I didn't mean to offend lumberjacks in here, just saying, lumberjacks, I get you. You're my people. I didn't mean it. And then we have to apologize. We have to apologize for a statement. And one of the things that I've seen has become so prevalent lately is the soundbite judgment, right? You see people who have lived their whole life in one fashion or another, and over one soundbite, over one sentence that didn't quite come out right, their whole career is tacoed. It just poof, right into the wall. Is that fair? The walks like a dog, barks like a dog, must be a dog, right? If you're not acting this way, the soundbite comes out and makes it sound like you are, but we're so quick to jump to judgment about, I can't believe that XYZ did A, B, and C. We don't give people the benefit of the doubt. We don't let them live a life by example because we're so quick to take that 6 seconds of their life and ruin the last 40 years. Why? Are we so quick to look at the absolute surface, the Maybelline moment that, oh my gosh, you weren't wearing your makeup right, you were wearing the wrong shirt, you represented the wrong thing, you stood on the wrong side of town, you said the wrong thing at the wrong time. And now everything that you've done, every organization that you've ever been a part of is throwing their hands up and backing away from you because of all the hours that you donated and all the time that you spent and all the causes that you believed in and all the late nights that you spent going over this project and that project are just torpedoed over 6 minutes or 6 seconds, over one soundbite that didn't quite go right. I think of a certain quarterback who came to the defense of another certain quarterback and said, that's not the guy I've worked with for the last 5 years. That's not the guy I know. And I think y'all should back off and let his life live for him before you go judging the last sentence that came out of his mouth. And I think if we all do that and we all just kind of take a Xanax, relax, get over yourself. Allow me to have my opinion and still care about me as a person. I really find it hard to believe with all these other people that are shouting about Black Lives Matter and White Lives Matter and All Lives Matter and that whole message just getting all jumbled up, and how someone can get so hatefully angry delivering that message. That to me just kind of strikes me as wrong. How can you come to me and say that I'm not getting it, so I got to hit you harder, when you don't agree with every single thing that I say in the manner that I say it, right? And so I would challenge you guys, and listen, don't bother chewing me up on this, okay? I'm trying to express my opinion to people that I care about so that maybe they can take a minute and think about their opinion to people that they care about, so that we don't wind up with a society that's run by a mob, that's run by a mob mentality. I can't tell you how many times I've seen it in social media. If you don't agree with this statement, unfriend me. I don't need to talk with you anymore. And it breaks my heart because you're part of the problem. How can you not say, if you don't agree with this, let me buy you a cup of coffee and I want to hear why? And I just want to listen. I'll spend $4 on a cup of Joe for you to give me your opinion so I can digest your opinion. And then take away something from that where I can still say, hey, Sarah, hey, Bill, hey, Sam, hey, Karen, I still care about you as a person. And we're going to have to agree to disagree on this. But in that conversation, I did hear you mention that you like doing this, and so do I. So that's going to be our jam. Guys, there's no reason for the intolerance that's going on. You can't speak of intolerance with intolerance. You cannot say that the only way to handle a certain situation is my way. That's the problem. That's not part of the problem. That's like all the problem. We have to fix this right now, and we have to fix it my way. I am the only one that has input on that. And if you don't agree with my input, you're an idiot. Ladies and gentlemen, I've never met a person that's smart enough to say that. I've never met a person that's all right. I've seen a lot of people that have said they are, and they're posers. Nobody's got it all right. The minute you act like you do, you're setting yourself up to get knocked off. So I will tell you right now, my opinions are not all correct, but I want to hear your opinions. And I want to hear them in a manner that allows me to digest them so that I can make decisions and think through things that improve my worldview and how I see the things that are going on around me. So guys, have a great weekend. Take a minute, digest this information, figure out a way to put it into your grill, put it into your thought process, marinate on it, and figure out how to be more tolerant of your fellow man. Because we're not going to get out of the situation we're in with more intolerance to go with the intolerance that we already have in a triple helping. I love you guys. Take care. We'll talk soon.